Into the High Noon Report with me, Pugs Moran. High Noon Rant, High Noon Report. I don't know. What are we calling it these days? All right, let me take a deep breath and get settled here because I've been moving around really quick for the last 15 minutes. I had run to the store. That's okay. Why are you late today, Pugs? I had run to the store. And then when I got back here, I was back from the store before any of this. I was back from the store before the show started. But then there was all these little things that you got to do that I have not done yet. Welcome to the High Noon Rant. Are we calling it the rant or the report? I don't know. I go back and forth. I suck at this branding thing. Welcome to the High Noon Rant. I'm your humble host, Pugs Moran, and every Monday through Friday at high noon-ish, we get together and we talk about the world at large. We talk about all the hot topics, current events, trends, all of those things. Whatever it is that's happening in the world, they're buzzing about it. If there's any fear whatsoever of somebody accosting you on the street and going, hey, did you hear about? I want to make sure you can respond with, yeah, I did. I heard about that because I listen to the High Noon Rant every day, Monday through Friday at noon. Here, do we have an executive producer today? Do we? Well, we didn't get any tips. See, here's how it works. You guys support the show. The show is completely funded by you, and you've done a great job all these years, 2 years and counting. Thank you so much. And tippers from the previous day get to be credited as the executive producer of each day's show. I think we've been going with Tracy. Tracy, big tipper. Thank you so much to Tracy. But I think today, I'm not going to put it up, but I think that Peter's going to be the executive producer of today's show. Peter in the chat room. Why? Why does Peter get to be executive producer of today's? Because we're starting a World Series tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about this at the end of the show. I got some thoughts. I got some theories. We'll talk about the World Series. But Peter has been on this back. I feel like I was all alone. Yeah, that's right. You heard me back on opening day, back on March the 30th, when I declared the Texas Rangers were going to the World Series. Y'all heard it. I don't need to play it again. You heard me say exactly those words in that order. I predicted it. I'm taking credit. But Pete's there with me. Peter's been there the whole time. So, Peter, you're our spirit animal. Carry us through. Nah, I know. I probably know there's people going, I'm a bigger Ranger fan than Peter. Okay, just stop it. We're just having fun here. And that's what we do. We don't do politics. We don't do the divisive nonsense. We talk about all the stuff that we can yell at each other about that has nothing to do with how we voted. That's the purpose of the show. Talk radio the way I feel it should be, the way it used to be, the way it was when I fell in love with it. Oh, those many years ago as a child in the 1980s. Let's see here. Whoa, that ain't good. This computer's not fully charged. This one is charging down. Hi, Jeff. Let's say hi to the chat room. Jeff's in the chat room. Peter's in the chat room. Leslie's in the chat room. We used to be so big on Leslie's. Now we just got a couple Leslies. All right, chat room is filling in. Let's get the people in here. We'll get this thing running. Peter says, whatever, Schizo Pugs. I have lived here all my life, so the Rangers are my blood. I am not doubting that. I am advocating you as the Rangers' spirit animal, Peter. Don't whatever Schizo Pugs me. I'm saying that's what other people might say. Other people might feel a little bit upset that I am anointing you, our spirit animal, at least insofar as how this show is run. Okay, guys, so last night there was no Radio Misfits show. You all know what Radio Misfits is. That's the other stream that we do every night at 9 p.m. It's myself and James Parker, RadioMisfits.com. For all your podcast and live streaming needs, Radio Misfits. It's got everything. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, there's something going on in Israel. We'll talk about that. We'll get to that when we get to the subjects. But last night there was no Radio Misfits show because my son had a football game. Hold on, let me do this. A lot of me saying hold on today, I think, at least until I get the boat in open water, right? Like we rushed out of the dock where we're snapping things and folding shit and stowing away. We're doing that stuff right now still as we're heading out because we're late to the party. I apologize. I was late because I went to the store. So last night there was no Radio Misfits show, obviously, because I go and watch my kid play the football. My son, my son, I've told you the story of my son. Okay, so if you follow me on Twitter, Pugs Moran, I don't want to publicize this, too much, but a couple of brags on my kid, my 14-year-old son, my big dumb meatball son. And I call him Big Dumb Meatball lovingly because he isn't. My son was honored on social media by his high school. I follow the high school account. That's how much of a nerd I am. He was honored as a scholar athlete and listed among all of the athletes in the school who are also honor roll or whatever. So let's get that out of the way. Okay, let's establish my son has never gotten a B. Can I brag on that? When I say it that way, it's like, why do you say it that way? My son has never gotten a B because he has gotten a couple C's. That's why. But everything else is A's. I mean, it's like A. So we're very proud of him for that. But so he played a game last night. Now, you know that his team started out as a juggernaut. They were just destroying teams left and right. And this is a very big deal for me, and I'm ecstatic about it because, as I always say, the previous 2 seasons of watching my son's teams, they won 1 game. They won 1 game in 2 seasons. 1 game in 2 seasons, and now here they are playing freshman football in the great state of Texas, and they're a friggin' juggernaut, at least through the first 5 games of the season. Then we hit a little bump in the road. We got blown out. We got blown out 45-0 by Flower Mound. They blew us out, but there was a COVID thing going on the team. There a lot of players were missing. It was a weird game. So here we are. The record going into last night's game was 6-1-1. 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. And they're playing a really good program, playing Louisville. So as I said yesterday, I was a little bit nervous. But no reason for that because the good guys prevailed 38-2 over the Louisville Farmers. 38-2. How very exciting. What else I want to say about this? I got something I want to show you. I don't do this, but I want to show you. I want to show you that. I want to brag on my boy. I want. Please allow me, indulge me to brag on my scholar boy, and then we'll get into the day. I'll stop with this. I promise. All right, so here you go. This is just. I love this. I love this particular play because for a couple of reasons. One, it just shows how effective the offense is. I mean, this offense, they never punt. They never punt because they always get the first down. Somehow they always get the first down. So this is a good example of how effective my son's freshman team offense is. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that on a stream that I expect to make money off of. Anyway, here's the point. Let's play this for you. I want you to watch. See the center? Here. See the center's my kid. This is him right here. This is his little arm. He's holding the football, right? Okay, this is him. This is my little meatball, my little scholar athlete. Okay, there he is. Now, I love this play. We're going to move on, I promise, because I know that this is the most gross form of dad bragging. But here we go. I'm going to play this play for you. Do I have the sound on? I have the sound. I want you to watch my boy. Because I know you're going to be dazzled by all the other football stuff that's going on. Look, when your son plays on the offensive line, you have to find things to be excited about. He's not a wide receiver. He's not going to make a diving catch. You know, he's not a quarterback. He's an offensive center. We hope he snaps it properly. And most importantly, we hope he handles his bag. My kid's mantra is nobody touches my quarterback. That's like his whole thing. All right, so here you go. Let's watch this play from my son's game last night. I'm very proud of my scholar athlete. Remember, we're watching this little all year. Dumps him. Opens the middle of the field. Look at this. All right, now let's focus on the offensive line, shall we? Because that's what we do. All right, first of all, perfect snap. Center dads, we all appreciate the snap. Perfect snap. Look at the engagement. Okay, that's good. Ref, keep the flag in your pocket. I think this. You could look the other way. I think this is fine. Nice pass protection. Gets this guy off balance. Uses his jiu-jitsu and flips him. That's my boy. All right. How great was that? I stopped it before. I don't care about the beautiful pass play down the middle of the field where our speedy wide receiver then just outran everybody. That was beautiful too. But it's the block. It's the block that counts. Center dads unite. Okay. What else do we need to discuss here right at the start of the show? A lot of stuff going on in the world today. So if you don't follow us at Pugs Moran, follow us on Facebook, follow us wherever you can, because I got a feeling that I'm going to be jumping in doing some of these breaking news reports. I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff that makes my antenna go up when I think, am I going to have to maybe jump on and do a special live coverage feed at 8 o'clock tonight? Well, maybe. We got a manhunt for a mass murderer. We got Israel. I'm just saying this. Israel's doing some stuff right now. Right now, Israel's doing some stuff. So that could pop off at any minute. So we got a lot of stuff that we got to get to. But let's get the show started. Wait, there was another thing that I wanted to mention. Something else that I wanted to mention before we got started. Nah, never mind. Let's just get rolling. It's the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's the 27th day of October, year of our Lord 2023. Fun fact about this day, October 27th is the 300th day of the year. 300! Spartan Day. Get out there, take on this world like a Spartan. There are 65 days remaining. If you didn't know that, you're dumb, because everybody should know there's 365 days in the year. So if this is the 300th day, there's 65 days until New Year's Eve. All right, segment one, quarter one of 4 quarters in this show. It's a segment, excuse me, that was a burp. That was a coffee burp. I'm gross. I shouldn't do that. I'm sorry. The first segment that we do on this show is look back at history, the things that occurred on this day, how they've shaped our perception of this day, and any clues or hints or rhythms that might predict what happens in the coming hours of today. And you think I'm crazy when I say that, but no, dude, things happen over, like on this day in 1870, on this day in 1920, on this day in, McDonald's going to end. That was the McDonald's app. How do I shut up the McDonald's app? It's free French Fry Friday. All right, so let's get into erstwhile on this day. These are the things that occurred on this day. On this day in 1682, Philadelphia is founded in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There's a viral video going around of Phillies fans exiting the Phillies Diamondbacks game, and they ain't happy. They're not. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone has ever described the people of Philadelphia as lovely people. They are not lovely people. On this day in 1682, Philadelphia became a thing. We've been regretting it ever since. On this day in 1838, Missouri Governor Liburn Boggs, the Honorable Liburn Boggs. That's one of them names. It's one of them political names. Always comes to the congressman from Georgia's 5th. Flanky Johansson. Flanky. They all have these weird names. Here's a weird political name. Liburn Boggs. Missouri Governor Liburn Boggs on this day issued an extermination order of all Muslims. Kill on sight, he said. What year is this? 1838. 1838, the governor of a state could just, go, let's kill all them Mormons. And they were white people. God, think how racist these people must have been. Think not racist. I'm not going to say racist because that suggests just intolerant of anyone that's not like them. Mormons are all white people. Anyway, there was an extermination order in Missouri. That was because, here's the problem. The Mormons started in Illinois, like in western Illinois. And then, I don't know, something happened there. And then they crossed the river into Missouri. And they all came at once. And I guess Missouri was like, too many weirdos. I mean, I don't know. Were they weird? Even by 1832. Oh, I bet you Mormons have dialed it down. You know what? Because, let's try and figure out, why did Missouri have such a problem with Mormons? I have to believe Mormons have dialed it down. They're still interesting. Harmless, though, right? Like it's an interesting religion. Like, if you're Christian, I'm faithless. I was born and raised Catholic. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I'm faithless. I'm a seeker. I'm a searcher. I'm spiritual. But, I'm not really down with any religion. So I just look at all of these religions. Maybe they were just too wild. And now they osmified themselves with the Osmonds, because that's honestly the only understanding of Mormonism that I think anyone in America had before, maybe Mitt Romney. I don't know. It was the Osmonds. They seemed so nice. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, apparently the Mormons were just crazy back in, what year? 1838. Missouri governor. Yeah, I know. I focused on the weirdness of the Mormons and not on the weirdness of a governor being able to go, let's exterminate an entire race of people. Faith of people? That would be a creed of people? I don't know what that would be the proper. On this day in 1936, Mrs. Wallace Simpson obtains her divorce, which would eventually allow her to marry King Edward VIII of the United Kingdom, thus forcing his abdication of the British throne. And this has always been a head scratcher. This has to be like, so King Edward VIII was a prince, and he was born a prince, and he was the heir to the throne, and his entire life he was like, you're going to be king one day. So I imagine life was really good for him. Here's my point. He abdicated the throne for Wallace Simpson. Have you ever seen Wallace Simpson? Now, I think I'm pretty open-minded. I can look at pictures of like people from the 1920s, the 1930s and whatnot, and I can go, okay, the hairstyle's a little wild and the clothing isn't really that flattering, but I can see that this is an attractive human being. I can, you see that a lot with, movie stars or whatever that don't fit the modern idea of what a hot chick is. But, you can look at someone from back in that. You can look at Carol Lombard, right? You can go, okay, the hair's a little much and the makeup ain't really in style with today. But, yeah, she's hot. I can tell she's hot. Wallace Simpson wasn't that. She was weak. With all due respect, here's how I would describe Wallace Simpson. A handsome woman. Anytime you describe a woman as handsome, that's a nice way of saying that's an ugly woman. She was a handsome woman. And the dude abdicated the throne for her, which goes back to how he was raised. If you have everything you want whenever you want it, I guess your wants tend to stray from the norm. Like maybe like having a hot chick wasn't, maybe marrying someone attractive that he was physically attracted to wasn't important to him because he was going to be king and he was going to have like, mistresses and all that stuff. He can have sex ain't a problem for him. He can have sex with anything he wants. He's the king, for crying out loud. I don't know. But I don't know why. But then he's not the king. So he gives up being the king. So now he's with her. I don't know. I don't understand it. But here's what I kind of do see. There's a big story out there that he was super kinky and he was like gay and he couldn't be like outwardly gay. And she introduced him to this like crazy California lifestyle of like social, like super wealthy social, like, eyes wide shut kind of stuff. And he was like totally into that. And that is why he ultimately, they say. But I don't know. It certainly wasn't because look at her. She's a handsome lady. You don't give, I don't know. It was just, she allowed him access to a world that he was like, yes, please. And he kind of became that guy. Then he became friends with Hitler. Yeah, that's the other thing he did. When he wasn't king and he was just sort of like a Kardashian, and he was like bouncing around the world, they abdicated. I don't even know what they called him. Because he was king for like a day or two or something. I don't know. He was king for a little bit. Former King Edward VIII was in Japan today. It was like a big deal, right? So he went around and he did that, but apparently he was a crazy, sexy, kinky guy. On this day in 1962, Major Rudolph Anderson of the United States Air Force becomes the only human casualty of the Cuban Missile Crisis when his U-2 reconnaissance airplane is shot down over Cuba by a Soviet-supplied surface-to-air missile. We don't know this guy. Nobody knows Rudolph Anderson. We all know Gary Powers. Gary Powers is the guy who flew the U-2 plane that the band U-2 named themselves after. Gary Powers got shot down. Gary Powers got captured. This was in 1960. Gary Powers got captured in 1960. He was taken to Moscow and put on trial. It was a whole big international incident. We all know Gary Powers. We don't know the dude who died, Rudolph Anderson. I never heard Rudolph Anderson's name before. He died 2 years later during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was shot down and died. Rudolph Anderson, American hero during the Cold War, the only casualty of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Born on this day in 1962. Also on this day in 1962, and I kind of moved quickly past Rudolph Anderson, which is unfair because my whole point with him is that everybody moves too fast past him to get back to Gary Powers. But we're going to move past Rudolph Anderson because someone even more important did something on this day in 1962. This is one of the most fascinating stories of Cold War history. Now, I've heard this story told a million different times. It's been interpreted. It's never been done. I don't know that it's been done straight. Has it ever been? I mean, Hunt for Red October. Basically, Hunt for Red October took this story, right? That happened on this day. And most old head experts from that time say that on this day, back in 1962, at the exact same time that Major Rudolph Anderson was being shot down in his U-2 spy plane, the exact same time, the United States naval blockade of Cuba was engaged in a stare down with a Soviet nuclear submarine. Now, here's what was going on that submarine. And this, maybe if you've seen The Hunt for Red October, this might sort of ring true. This submarine was, they knew that they were seen. Right? They knew that the Americans knew that these submarines were heading there. And it was a nuclear submarine. It was nuclear torpedoes. It was outfitted with nuclear torpedoes. So the submarine started taking evasive actions and it dove really far down. And they were completely cut off communication-wise because they were so far down because they knew the Americans were up there. They had to go down there and they had to hide. The captain of the Soviet nuclear submarine decided that World War III had started. He decided that obviously the reason they don't have communication with Moscow is because Moscow has been knocked out. The real reason they didn't have communication with Moscow is because he dove too deep. So he was convinced the World War III was started, and he was prepared to launch his nuclear torpedoes. He was getting ready to. Now, on this particular Soviet submarine, there needed to be 3 people to say, yeah, let's launch. There was the captain, there was the political officer, and then there was the executive officer. The executive officer was a guy by the name of, I want to get his name right, Vasily Arkhipov. That's right, Vasily Arkhipov. So Vasily Arkhipov was the executive of the crew. He was the top ranking of the entire crew. So all 3 of these people had to say, yes, let's fire the nuclear weapons. The captain called a vote. Captain said, I vote, let's fire. The political officer said, I vote, let's fire. Remember, they think the captain has convinced everybody that the reason they can't speak to Moscow and get further instructions is because Moscow has been taken out by nuclear missiles. The real reason they can't is because they're too deep, because he took them too deep in avoiding the American flotilla that was above them. Arkhipov knew this. Arkhipov was like, look, we don't have enough information here. Arkhipov was the 3rd man. Arkhipov said no. 2 of the 3 wanted to fire nuclear missiles at Florida. They were ready to go. They voted. The captain, Arkhipov, was disgraced for this. Arkhipov, when he was brought back to Moscow, well, they knew it was a mistake, but he got in trouble for not following orders, because not to say no wasn't him not following orders, but in the ensuing argument, there were all kinds of things where he was ordered to stand down. That's what he got in trouble for. He was disgraced. And it was only years later, when all these people in the Soviet Union felt that people started talking about it, that Arkhipov finally started to get his credit. We're like, this dude stopped World War III. 2 of the 3 people who wanted to launch on Florida, those nuclear torpedoes, 2 of the 3 were like, let's go. 2 of the 3 thought Moscow was in flames. Only Arkhipov was the one who went, no, I think it's because we're too deep. And he saved the world. He saved the world. You think I'm overstating that? What would the United States of America have done if suddenly a torpedo launched from a Soviet submarine off the coast of Cuba towards Florida? What do you think we would have done? We would have responded with everything. That was what was at stake in the Cold War. And on this day, Vasily Arkhipov stopped it from all going to hell. Congratulations to you, Vasily Arkhipov. Remember that name. And then also Rudolph Anderson died. He died. He's the American pilot who got shot down. He was a U-2 pilot. By the way, those are 2 separate events. Those are 2 separate events that probably happened hundreds of miles away from each other over open water, right? Actually, Rudolph Anderson got shot down over Cuba, but you know what I'm saying. On this day in 1964, Ronald Reagan delivers a speech on behalf of Republican candidate Barry Goldwater. The speech launches his political career and comes to be known as A Time for Choosing. You ever heard of Time for Choosing? It's a good speech. I have this CDs. It's so funny. They're in a box somewhere. I have this. It was really cool, man. It was really cool. It was, I don't know, it was put out probably in the mid-90s. It was a CD compilation of all the world's great speeches. And if you think that sounds boring, you've never heard a great speech. I mean, you just put it, if you need to get pumped up, you need to get motivated, you need to cry, you need to do whatever it is. There are some speeches out there. Reagan's A Time for Choosing is one that was included. It's a big one. It's the speech that's popularly associated with him saying, you know what? I think I can do this political thing. On this day in 1964, Reagan, Time for Choosing. On this day in 1992, the United States Navy radio man Alan R. Schindler Jr. is murdered by a shipmate, Terry Helvey, for being gay. This precipitated the debate that led to the military ruling, don't ask, don't tell. So, don't ask, don't tell is demonized. It's widely demonized by the gay and lesbian community of 2023. My phone ringing. This looks to be some form of spam. Area code 945. I don't know. Chat room, what area code is that? I don't know. Didn't say spam. Usually it says spam. What was I talking about? Reagan in his speech. Don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell. Much demonized by the current generation, but man, it was a big deal when it happened, and it was very. This is the slow creep. This is how it happens. Okay, it was never going to be gays are fine, right? I mean, so don't ask, don't tell is progress from you gay, you out, and it was progress. And now only when people look back through the unfair lens of history and 2020 vision do they go, well, it wasn't enough. Well, yeah, it wasn't enough, but it was a start. And man, nobody gives credit to the people who, did the incremental creep of change. And that's what it is. Now, all the people who supported it back then, who are still politics, they distance themselves from it because, the view now is an 18-year-old's view of it. That was horrible. I learned about it in high school class. You weren't there. It wasn't horrible. It was actually progress, man. It was progress. Yes, it wasn't enough, and it should be embarrassing based on acceptance and the way we look at gay people today. But man, on this day in 1992, come on, give it a rest. This kid was murdered. We needed to do something to address it because people were being brutalized. All right. So shut up. Shut up with all the LGBT people. And don't ask, don't tell us one of the great black marks in America. No, it isn't. It's actually one of the great creeps in the progressive movement of America in the last 100 years. It truly is. You have to look at it that way. Jesus, you got to stop demonizing people for trying to do what they felt was the best thing in their time. I mean, unless it's obviously awful, but God, people make mistakes. People are creatures of their era. People think certain things because that's what the brain does. It absorbs what super ego, I don't want to get into it, but man, that's what the world is, whatever your surroundings are. And you can still be a good person and have views or actions that are viewed 20, 30 years later as being absolutely reprehensible. Of course, it depends on the fact that you change. You do have to change, but come on. We got to stop ruining people for shit. Ugh. Anyway, moving on this day in 2018, a gunman opens fire at the Pittsburgh synagogue. This is the Tree of Life shooting. 11 people were killed. 6 more were injured in the attack, including 4 police officers. This was a big one. This was a big anti-Semitic slaughter at Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh, which apparently every celebrity who's Jewish, who's from Pittsburgh, was a member of this synagogue. Because, I don't know, it seems like a lot of celebrities were like, I had my bat mitzvah, whatever. Yeah, dark day. There you go. All right. And, Israel's doing some crazy shit right now. Breaking news, the IDF ground operations in Gaza is expanding. That is the breaking news as of right now. That's some of the stuff that we're seeing on TV. We'll get to that. We'll talk about Israel in a bit. On this day in 2018, the Tree of Life shooting. On this day in 2019, Islamic State of Iraq and the Lebanon. ISIS. It's the ISIS dude. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Remember this guy? He killed himself today. And his family. Blew them all up with a suicide vest after the United States badasses kicked in his door and were like, we got you. And he was like, nope. Boom. And he was gone. Whatever. I don't care. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You're gone. Think you're an asshole for taking your kids out, but your kids were probably going to be raised horrible anyway. That was on this day, 2019. All right, folks, that'll do it. Erstwhile on this day is gone. How about some birthdays? Let's talk about people who were celebrating their birthdays. It's Q2. Born on this day in 1858, Theodore Roosevelt. Old fuzzy stuffs. What was his? I don't know. That's not his nickname. I don't know what his nickname is. Old fuzzy stuffs. Theodore Roosevelt. Old mustache face. Did he have a nickname? Was he Ironsides? No, that's a boat, isn't it? Isn't Ironsides a thing? That's not a person. I don't know. Who was Teddy Roosevelt? Let me know. All right. Born on this day in 1858, Teddy Roosevelt. I'm sitting here waiting for people in the chat room to be like, hey, old fuzzy stuffs was in fact his nickname. It's not. I totally made that up. If it is his nickname, that's weird. If old fuzzy stuffs turns out to be Teddy Roosevelt's actual nickname, show's over. I'm done, and I'm gonna go jump off the balcony right off my front door here. I can't do this. Coincidences have been ruining my life. They've been ruining it. They've been ruling my life. All right, born on this day in 1858, old fuzzy stuffs. Teddy Roosevelt. Born on this day in 1929, Bill George, American football player. Let's head out, Chicago Bears. Bill George. Who's Bill George? Shut up, Bill George. Bill George. Before there was a Bill George, you know what there wasn't? Anybody of note who ever played the linebacker position. There you go. Bill George is like the first famous linebacker. Now, Bill George, of course, great Chicago Bear, started the tradition of great Chicago Bear linebackers. Who we got? We go Bill George. We go Bill George right into Butkus, right into Singletary, right into Urlacher. We had Roquan. Now we got Edmonds. I don't know what Edmonds is going to do. We shouldn't have let Roquan go, but whatever. We are a linebacker factory in Chicago, and you know what that means? That means your defensive line sucks. No team wants to be famous for linebackers. Linebackers are like the guys that, so the offense got past the defensive line, and now they're in the second level. Oh, good. Oh, we're really good. We're really good after allowing running backs to get 6 yards. That's what you're famous for. If you have linebackers who are, look, it's worse if you're famous for safeties. Like if the greatest player in your team's history is a safety, that means everybody blew their assignment, and it was left to the safety to make spectacular plays. And lucky you, he did from time to time. If you're safety, then linebackers, I hate it. Anyway, happy birthday, Bill George. Can't have a quarterback. No, that'd be too normal. We got to be Chicago. We got to do it as stupidly as possible. Hey, let's be really good at a position that means that we're really bad at another position. Okay, let's do that. Let's be good at linebacking. How about punting? Shut up. We'll hear from you later. Punting is the next choice. Like if your like team is famous for having like the best punter, he's got more punts than anyone in the league. That's not good. It's not good. Bill George, born on this day in 1929, NFL Hall of Famer, one of the great linebackers in history. Born on this day also in 1939, John Cleese. John Cleese, one of the Monty Pythons. Boy, he's turned into a crusty old man with no fucks to give. He's hysterical. He doesn't care about nothing. He's John Cleese. He's a genius. His contribution to global culture over the past 60 years of his life has been incalculable. He's one of the all-time greats. And now he's just an old man who talks shit on Twitter, and a lot of people get angry. John Cleese was born to be a troll, and that's kind of what he's become. Although I don't think he's been on Twitter in a while. Is he dead? That's John Cleese. Yeah, Pugs. John Cleese died in May. You covered it extensively. I don't remember. No, he's not dead. Anyway, John Cleese, troll. He says stuff on Twitter that makes people go nuts, and I love it. Born on this day in 1939, John Cleese. Born on this day in 1940, this guy's definitely dead. And this is, I don't know if this is a coincidence or maybe this is, by design. Who knows? But it just seems strange to me that I just last night finished watching the new Netflix docuseries, Get Gotti. You've seen this new Netflix docuseries? It's about the pursuit of John Gotti, who was the head of the Gambino crime family, one of the 5 families of New York. He was the largest and most powerful at the time that Gotti was gotten. But for years before Gotti got gotten, Gotti was pretty much untouchable. He's known as the Teflon Don. He was the Teflon Don because the authorities, New York City prosecutor's office, New York State Special Crimes and Operations, and then New York State Police. I believe that was it. Those were the 3 organizations that brought John Gotti to trial. And they all lost. Now, the first one got, I'm not going to ruin it for you. Watch the docuseries. It's really good. It's really good. The feds finally got him. It was Get Gotti, and it was the feds, and it was tapes. And, man, you listen to these tape recordings of Gotti talking to, whoever it is, his conciliary, or like when he's talking to Sammy the Bull. I mean, it's just fascinating stuff. Hold on. All right, so we got an audio thing. What's going on with the audio? Hold on. All right, hold on. I can fix that. Thank you for telling me that. I didn't. How are we doing? Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Is that different? Is that any different? Sorry. All right, I do. Does it? Okay. Does it sound any better now? Does it sound any better now? If it sounds better now, then that was just a minute. And thank you for telling me. And by the way, thank you. Probably Twitter. Byron always hits me up on Twitter when there's something important. I hate that the first 43 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it was of the show, audio coming. Yeah, so I'm more likely to respond to you hitting me up on Twitter in the messages with something like this than I am in the chat room, because I'm not seeing the chat room. You know why? Because I don't want to be distracted, because you're all so fascinating and you will distract me. So does it sound better? I need to know. I'll count to 15. Oh, wait. I just need to know if I can move on. Same. Earbuds, not mic. Fuck. What do you mean earbuds, not mic? The earbud, there's no difference here with the earbuds. What does that mean? Earbuds, not mic. Sounds the same. Okay. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Well, it's not going to do anything. Barney says it sounds better. Hugh says he doesn't hear a change. Leslie says it sounds the same. Do you see? I don't know what to go on. This is weird. I don't know. Is it something as simple as not being connected properly? No, we're all connected, right? So what you're saying is, seems like you're in a different room than normal. No, I'm not. No. It kind of sounds like you're in a tube. It sounds like you're in a can. Okay, that's not good. All right, we're going to stop this. I'm going to reboot everything. I'm going to try and do it again. Okay, so folks, give me a couple of minutes here. I don't know. Everything looks fine. Everything seems normal, but we're going to try this again. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll finish up the birthdays in a few minutes. My apologies. Pretend like it's a long commercial break, something like that. Okay, back after this. Bye.